From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Wavelength. Well, as we are preparing to distribute this month's show with our lead story about the drought, Hurricane Dolly had some other plans. For the past few days, drenching rains have fallen over much of the Colorado River watershed, but whether or not this will be enough to end the drought is unknown. As one weather expert reminded us, it will take much more than 3 inches of rain to make up for the deficit over the past year. The soaking rainfall was a welcome sight and will certainly help replenish stock tanks on farms and ranches. But most of the precipitation fell between Austin and the Gulf Coast, meaning that it will likely not have a dramatic impact on the Highland Lakes.
Well, the big question everybody's asking is the drought over? And I think the easy answer to that is no, even though here in Austin we're getting up close probably to our average rainfall back on track. Most areas of the Colorado River, especially upstream of our Highland Lakes, still haven't gotten the rain that we needed to be a drought breaker. I guess you might say Dolly's kind of thrown us a bone here, but she hadn't given us the rain that we need in the right places.
Although the rain won't fill the lakes up, it has helped slow evaporation and will help meet flow requirements in the river below Austin, all of which will help a little. But Birdwell says it won't be enough to tackle the two main problems facing the lakes. One is that the water flow into the Highland Lakes is still 20% below average, while demands for water are 30% higher. The view of the Pedernales River just before it enters Lake Travis is a graphic reminder of just how serious the problem is. Lake Travis remains 13 feet below its average for this time of year, creating problems for businesses and marinas. Tommy Decker runs Hearst Harbor on Lake Travis. This dry piece of land is where his marina used to be.
The moving of the marina to deeper water is quite a logistical nightmare.
Although there's plenty of water on Lake Travis for boating activity, recreational access has been impacted. As you can see in the background, Hearst Harbor Marina has already relocated all of its wet mooring slips to the main body of the lake. By the time Lake Travis reaches the 645 elevation, most marinas on the lake will have to move to the main body of the lake. Of the 7 public boat launch ramps, only 1 is usable because of the drought.
On the farms and ranches downstream of the Highland Lakes, the drought has caused millions of dollars in damage and forced ranchers to spend millions of dollars to feed their livestock. Here in Bastrop County, the corn and grain sorghum crops are yielding 50% less than they did a year ago. And the Agricultural Extension Service has set up a special counseling service to help farmers deal with the situation. The impact of the drought on agriculture is immense. The Texas Department of Agriculture estimates that statewide losses will be just under $5 billion. And just when farmers thought that it couldn't get any worse, it did.
Well, certainly the rains are helping most of us. I don't know that most farmers would agree. Even our rice farmers down near the coast, these rains have come, probably couldn't come at a worse time, right during the harvest. And it's affected not only rice but other crops as well. The dryland crops failed months ago, and now the irrigated crops right at harvest time, the rains are coming and it's messing up the attempt to harvest the rice that's in the field.
Hydrologists have been comparing the current dry spell with a drought that gripped Texas in the 1950s. There are several alarming factors that are of concern, including the fact that Lake Travis has gone down 40% since January 1st. As the drought continues, the LCRA's drought management plan will serve as a blueprint for managing the limited water supplies of the Highland Lakes.
We have a drought management plan. It's a little spooky in that we are on a pace faster than the drought of record, and our management plan is based on the drought of record, so we're having to look at that right now. What happens if it gets bad? If it keeps up, and fairly soon, and I can't give you an exact month or time, but fairly soon, we'll hit the point where we're going to have to say, okay, we're going to be curtailing water. And that's when people really begin to get hurt. And I think you will see us really ask our cities to step up, the cities that are on surface water around the Highland Lakes, to step up their conservation plan, to step up their mandatory rationing, at the same time that we'll be curtailing water to the rice farmers.
LCRA's electric service area, represented by the red line, is actually the combined service areas of the 11 co-ops and 33 cities that buy their wholesale power from the LCRA. Back in 1967, these 33 cities formed a support organization called the Municipal Electric Service Association, or MESA, to help them solve problems and share information.
23 of the cities are located on this side of 35.
At this year's annual meeting, MESA representatives from 28 communities attended workshops geared to help both city administrators and electric line crews. MESA President Jerry Bain says with all of the changes taking place today in the electric utility industry, MESA can be a big help.
It's a good medium for us to band together as cities to face the future, whatever it might be. And we all know that competition is coming. And it would be better for us to stand as a group than stand each little city by itself, because one little city, whether it's Fredericksburg or Cuero or Moulton, whoever it might be, we could real easily get gobbled up by somebody else. But if we stand together, united together, we have a better chance of facing the future. And I think MESA is a perfect organization to do that.
This line crew from contractor Red Simpson, Inc. is an example of how several communities and the LCRA are working together to hold down costs and improve the efficiency and reliability of the electric system.
Most of our smaller municipals have construction projects that are of a small enough dollar volume where a lot of contractors are not interested. They just won't move in and do the job. So what we thought is if we can pool together several projects from across multiple municipal customers, then we have a big enough package where that's attractive to a contractor, and we've chosen to work with Red Simpson Incorporated and have been really pleased with it.
LCRA, as you probably know, is doing the engineering design on these projects, and then we come in here and do the actual construction. LCRA is providing the project management, all the invoicing and billing services. So for the city or the rural electric system, it provides sort of a one-stop shopping experience where they can get everything done from design to construction, final approval and acceptance and payment all under one source through LCRA. So I think that is a benefit for LCRA and their customers.
This work is being done for the city of LaGrange, and Utility Director David Nowak hopes this cooperation between cities will continue.
And the way this worked out, LaGrange was pooled in with 4 other cities that were basically needing the same type of upgrades done to their service lines as we were. And it's worked out real well for us in that we feel we got a real good price on the contract, and not only on the construction labor, but also on the parts and materials required for the job.
LCRA is currently working with another contractor to help the wholesale customers with their tree trimming programs.
The Hillbig gas storage facility near Bastrop gives the LCRA the flexibility to buy natural gas when the price is low, store it underground, and then use it later on when the gas prices are high. This process has helped LCRA's 2 natural gas-fired plants stabilize their fuel costs, which in turn keeps our rates low. Now Hillbig will be able to increase its productivity due to a new innovative process that utilizes horizontal drilling as opposed to the traditional method of drilling vertically.
We contact close to 200 feet with a vertical well. If we go in and make a horizontal turn, we can contact 1,200 feet of the reservoir surface. This enhances our operations to withdraw gas and to inject gas, and it lowers our costs.
There are 19 gas storage wells at Hillbig with a combined pumping capacity of 122 million cubic feet a day. This new well, utilizing the technique of horizontal drilling, has the capacity to pump 22 million cubic feet of gas a day. The new line will single-handedly increase Hillbig's production capability by 15%.
LCRA's Cooper Farm Natural Science Laboratory in Fayette County was the impetus for what has become a thriving wildlife management cooperative. Now, the co-op recently received the Lone Star Land Steward Award from the Parks and Wildlife Department. And this next segment about the award was produced by Kevin Benz with Parks and Wildlife.
The North Central Fayette County Wildlife Management Co-op set their roots just 3 years ago.
Earl said, well, do you think, we could get one of these co-ops that farmed out here like they have in the hill country? He said, I think the people here will really be receptive to that. And boy, was he right.
We had 30 families showed up that night in that cold weather. And out of those 30 families, each one decided they're going to get 5 more families. So you can see it didn't take very long to get a co-op going.
Co-op members took advantage of LCRA's Cooper Farm, a demonstration site converting agricultural crops back into wildlife habitat. They planted food plots of grains and legumes for wildlife restoration. They planted native seedlings they grew themselves. And they built a large facility to host co-op meetings and field day demonstrations.
I have a couple small sons right now that I'm raising right in this area, half a mile down the road, and I feel that I'd like for them to see the wildlife that I was able to see.
It's sort of interesting to see how things have changed. When I was growing up, we had a lot more wildlife as far as the turkey and the deer and the birds, and then they sort of disappeared. And by getting this co-op started, we can see a difference already.
I think the essence of a co-op is neighbors talking to each other, finding out that they do have something in common, and that in order to achieve the objectives of better wildlife management, that they really do have to work together.
Working together is what these North Fayette County folks do best. They now have more than 125 members and 25,000 acres in their management plan. Even nearby towns see a difference. Wildlife numbers are increasing and businesses are capitalizing on it.
This is a big bed and breakfast community. We've had a lot of interest there with the non-game, and we've had programs and speakers here covering non-game.
Their enthusiasm is spreading like wildfire. Co-ops have formed in Bastrop and eastern Fayette County, and Washington and Lee counties are talking about starting their own co-ops.
It's very important for the future generations so that they have wildlife and things to look at. And I would strongly advise anyone that can organize a co-op to go ahead and do it, because there's many advantages to it.
We are a young co-op, but we feel that, man, it's exciting. No, people are talking about wildlife for a change instead of the weather, and it's really exciting.
The North Central Fayette County Co-op has been instrumental in trapping deer from overpopulated LCRA properties and transplanting them within their wildlife management area.
The LCRA crews did not do all the work. The co-op people were there beside them. They were pulling the deer out of the net and loading them in the trailer and bringing them over and releasing them.
The most exciting thing about the Fayette County folks is that they've come together in a situation which is exemplifies the biggest problem we've got on the landscape, and that is that fragmentation or diminution of tract size. Come together in a way that directly counterattacks that, to work together to continue to manage habitat on a large, wide-scale geographic or regional basis. And that, in the end, is going to be one of the primary tools that we're going to have to use in the future to hold wildlife habitat on the landscape.
As you travel around the state of Texas and you go to certain cities, you automatically think of special landmarks. Go to San Antonio, you think of the Alamo. Houston, the Astrodome. Dallas, the Cowboys. When you come to the city of Shiner, the first thing you think about is beer. The Shiner Brewery was started in 1909 by a group of German and Czech farmers and merchants to satisfy their old world taste for fine beer. In 1914, Cosmo Spätzle took over as brewmaster. and the rest, as they say, is history. Today, the brewery is owned by the Gambrinus Importing Company and is experiencing tremendous growth and expansion.
Morning.
Arthur Ward has been mayor of Shiner since 1981. He is now serving his 8th term. He says that although the population of Shiner remains fairly constant at about 2,200, the increase in jobs and growth in business has been amazing.
The brewery is growing every day. The fireworks is expanding every day. The plastic plant is expanding every day. And we have no unemployment because they come in from Hallettsville, Yoakum, Gonzales, Moulton, Flatonia. Workers come in every day. That boosts our economy. They all eat lunch. They all buy gasoline.
Casper Wire Works, which manufactures a wide range of wire and sheet metal products, is the largest supplier of newspaper racks in the country. This homegrown company is now operated by the 4th generation of the Casper family and is the largest employer in Shiner with over 800 employees. Casper Wire Works is also the largest electrical customer of the city of Shiner.
We had consultants in, we had engineers, and we had made a complete study of the city, what we needed, water, electrical, waste treatment for the next 20 years.
Bedecker Plastics is a relatively new business in Shiner with 24 employees. Founder Marvin Bedecker is part of a growing trend of people who grew up here in Shiner, moved away, and are now coming back to work and raise their families.
Well, basically, I wanted to get out of the rat race of Houston to begin with, and then it's just a wonderful place, I think, to bring up kids, and it's got really everything that people need. Shiner's in the middle, I think, of everything.
It's the best. We're centrally located. You know, we're not that far from Victoria, Austin, San Antonio, or Houston. The interstate's 20 miles away. People are friendly. We've got great churches. We've got great recreational facilities. We have 2 great schools. We've got a parochial school and a public school. And we've got good athletic programs. And of course, the city of Shiner is the friendliest place to be.
Well, how you folks doing today? I'm here in Austin, Texas for a little task force meeting. Old Dan Keene, the manager of the fuel section, called me up and asked me if I'd serve on the task force. Of course, I don't know what it's all about. I've served on so many task force, I don't even ask anymore. I just ask them what time the meeting is and usually show up. Besides, I can always use the sleep. Well, I was talking to old Dan. He said that he and his boss, the head of Tensco at Ray Schwarzenegger, said they was out at the old Powell Bend mine site the other day getting ready for some kind of yearly federal inspection they have to go through. And they was surveying the property, and back there on the south property line run into an old sinkhole. They was looking off in it, about 10 foot in diameter, and Ray said, I wonder how deep that thing is. Old Dan, being a mining engineer, he said, well, I think I can figure it out. So he reached down there, grabbed him a little pebble, and throwed it off in there, and sat there and listened for that thing to hit the bottom, and never heard it hit. So he said, maybe we need something a little bigger. So he finds him a big old rock about the size of a cantaloupe. Take that thing, throwed it off in the hole, sat there and listened, and never heard it hit the bottom. He said, well, Ray, maybe we need something a little bigger. So they found him a old railroad tie over there by the fence line. Old Ray grabbed one end of it, Dan the other, and they kind of waddled that thing over to the hole, give it the old heave hole, and they're sitting there listening. About that time, from out of nowhere, here comes this billy goat, comes running right up there between them, hops up there at the edge of that hole and jumps right in the hole. Man, they didn't know what to think. They was looking at one another and wondering what's going on. About that time, they heard something behind them. Turned around, there's Mr. Steiner standing there, the guy that owned the property. He said, fellas, he said, y'all ain't seen the goat, have you? Old Ray said, Mr. Steiner said, you ain't gonna believe this. He said, we stand here looking off this hole and said, here come this goat, jumped right in that hole. Mr. Steiner said, well, he said, that couldn't have been my goat. He said, my goat was tied to a railroad tie. You know, sometimes when I get roped into some of these task force committees, I think I know exactly how that old goat felt. Well, this is the old Supreme Commander saying, you know, I got a buddy of mine who's a veterinarian and a taxidermist over there in LaGrange. One good thing about it, you take your dog to him, I guarantee you're going to get him back one way or the other. We'll catch you next time.
Before we leave, I want to remind you to pick up a copy of the current edition of the LCRA News. You can read all about the drought and just how it compares to the drought of the 1950s. You can also read about who has the hottest jobs at LCRA. Well, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. We'll see you again next time.